even if you're in a position of power, this is what you're banging your head against. So I guess the takeaway is that everything is bad and we should all feel bad and hopeless. But in spite of all of that, I wanted people to feel hopeful that there are these amazing chefs, that there are these voices and women and non-binary people who are trying to change the industry. And there are also men in the industry who are trying to make it better. And I wanted to focus on all of them.
Menu for two, please. To be for you now.
You're listening to Copper and Heat, the podcast exploring the unspoken rules and traditions of restaurants. I'm Katie Osuna, and today we have a guest who you've heard from a couple of other times in the past.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. For some reason, Katie, you keep having me on your show.
I was thinking about it. I think you are the person that we have had back the most. This is the third time, right?
Oh my gosh, right? I love it. I'm like termites. I'm Geraldine DeRuiter. I'm the author of All Over the Place, Adventures in Travel, True Love, and Petty Theft. I am the author of If You Can't Take the Heat, Tales of Food, Fury, and Feminism. I am also the voice behind the James Beard award-winning blog, The Everywhereist.
We spoke to Geraldine first 5 years ago when we both won James Beard Awards, and both of us felt immense amounts of imposter syndrome. And then we spoke again after her essay about the bizarre avant-garde menu she had at Bros in Italy, which caused an international controversy all about fine dining. So naturally, when she asked if Rachel and I wanted a sneak peek at her new book entitled If You Can't Take the Heat, Tales of Food, Feminism, and Fury, we were very excited to read it and talk to her about it. It came out a few weeks ago, and it is incredible. So here is that interview with Geraldine. Reading your book made me lol all the time. It was a romp to get through and also slightly depressing, but in like the best way.
That's what I was aiming for.
Success. Great. I wanted to start the overarching thing that I was thinking about that I think that you handle so well is the tension of how you as an individual handle all of these huge systemic things, and not even just you, but the other people that you bring up in the book. I love how you handle that tension.
Thank you. Oh God.
So that's what I got out of the book overall, but what were you hoping people were going to get out of the book when you decided to write it?
Not a migraine was my goal.
Success. No migraines.
Yes. Good. It's interesting because I have gotten this question before of what do you want people's takeaways to be? And one of the things that came up was I definitely wanted to, it's on a selfish note, right? There are selfish things that came up. There's selfish things with any memoir, let's be clear. If you are writing a memoir, it is because you want to tell your side of the story. And I think at least in my case, with a lot of these stories, with the Batali article, which went so viral, with the Bros article, which literally was internet, that made international headlines. That a colleague of mine contacted me and he was like, I knew this was a big deal when my coworkers in Romania were sharing the article. I was like, oh my God, right? So that made international news. And people regard it as, oh, this was a funny viral piece. And it was, right? Like those were funny viral pieces. There is another side to that, which is what was happening behind the scenes. And that is, there is obviously, for me, there is the hate mail. For me, there is the death threats. But there is also, in the case of allegations of abuse for these chefs, there are very much victims who are trying to get justice who do not. And I wanted to talk about that. And there was obviously no means for me to get justice for these people, and that became very clear through the course of the book. There was one, and like very clear at some point, I am trying to advocate and I realize I cannot. I am in over my head. And I speak to that, but I at least wanted to say, like, look, there is more to this. There are people who are not getting their voices heard. And I think that also that is part of the story. If I am the apex of, I would say, writing privilege, like I am the apex, and I would say kind of the apex of food writing privilege in a lot of ways. Like, look, I have a platform. I have a James Beard Award. I have people listening to me. I have the capacity to go viral multiple times. I have an audience, and I was still unable to get my side of all of this out. And that kind of came to a head when I talk about the New York Times interview with the Bros piece, which was just one of the most frustrating experiences of my life. And having the response to the allegations of abuse be a quote from the alleged abuser saying, "You can't believe everything you read." And that was the extent of it. That was the extent of how they addressed that. So I think for me, it was really important to be like, hey, even if you're in a position of power, this is what you're banging your head against. So I guess the takeaway is that everything is bad and we should all feel bad and hopeless. But in spite of all of that, I wanted people to feel hopeful that there are these amazing chefs, that there are people who are trying to change things, that there are these voices and women and non-binary people who are trying to change the industry. And there are also men in the industry who are trying to make it better. And I wanted to focus on all of them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
That got dark, Katie. That
I'm
got
sorry.
dark
That happened fast.
Kitty jumped right
That
into
happened
it.
fast. I'm ready to put on the black eyeliner and listen to The Cure. Like, what happened?
And of course, I'm going to keep asking about that stuff.
Bring it.
So, okay, back to what you were talking about. Do you feel that right now we're at a unique point in history, or is this just a cycle that's just going to keep happening and then eventually we'll like kind of move forward?
I think that with every bit of progress, we see intense backlash. That is a pattern of human history. We are at a point where we have so much technology at our disposal. We have so much medical technology. We have so much alternative energy technology that we have, so much awareness of the harm that we have done historically to women, to people of color, to communities with disabilities, to to the LGBTQIA communities. We have so much awareness of the harm we have done. So we could theoretically make the world a wonderful place. And we are seeing major backlash against all of that. My hope is, the pendulum swings, right? So like the pendulum swings a little bit this way, like, oh, things are getting better. Oh, there's a bunch of raging shitbags that are pulling it back here. And so you hope that the pendulum is going to swing the other way. So I am hopeful. I am hopeful that this is a temporary thing, but that is only true if people keep pushing and fighting and advocating and are noisy and call out injustice and call out the fact that a young trans-binary kid was just murdered in their school, right? Like we need to be aware and bring all of this shit up and say how wrong it is and realize that it is a direct result of this backlash. I don't know if the end narrative of humanity will be a good one. And right now it looks really bleak, but I have to tell myself that it will be. Again, we are in, Katie, how are we in such a dark place? We are funny people. Okay. Right? We believe in good things.
I was gonna say, I don't know if this is gonna make it better or worse, me asking you if you could actually explain what you were saying earlier about the New York Times article for the listeners who have not yet read your book.
I can't talk about the New York Times article. So I guess it was 2 years ago now? I wrote an article about a Michelin-starred restaurant I went to. And it was in Italy, and the restaurant was like one of the most bizarre dining experiences of my life. And it was so weird that when the menu came out, all of my friends who were at that dinner were like, oh my God, they stole our restaurant. Like they stole our experience. By the way, I don't think that they did. I think that the menu came out like 8 months after, so there was no way. So it was a super bizarre experience. My husband had an allergic reaction because he told them he couldn't have all of these foods, and they ignored that. At some point, they brought us, like, one course was a shot of vinegar. And I'm just like sipping we were so hungry. We were so hungry afterward. It was 4 hours long. And by the time we got out, all of the restaurants were closed. So we couldn't even get food. So we go back to the place where we're staying, and we're all like eating, finding tangerines and like eating crackers, trying to get full. It was so bad. So I wrote a blog post about it. Blog post goes bonkers viral. It's in the Italian press. Like I said, a colleague of mine was telling me his coworkers in Romania were talking about it. Stephen Colbert did a segment on it. I'm being interviewed by the Washington Post. At some point, like, I can't even tell you how many interviews I did that week. I was on CNN. I was on the Today Show. And like, I was exhausted from doing press for a blog post I wrote, which is a really strange thing. That's like a very bizarre experience to have. The New York Times contacts me because they are doing a piece. And he starts asking me all these questions, the reporter. And I noticed that the questions are kind of bizarre. They are, I don't want to say antagonistic, but they are presuming that everything that the chef has said, because he's already interviewed the chef, he's presuming that everything that the chef has said is right and true, and everything that I have said is not. And so I have to prove everything that I have said in my blog post about my experience. And that is I'm in a very weird situation now. So we're literally sending him the email confirmations that Rand sent to the restaurant saying, I have these allergies. And he looks at them and he dismisses them and goes, it sounds like it was just a misunderstanding. And I was like, no, this was an oversight. And the chef took images of me from some of the interviews and he put them on their official Instagram, spliced with sexually explicit, like a couple like licking each other. So he spliced that together and put that on their Instagram. I couldn't get Instagram to take it down. And then the New York Times article comes out. And one of the things that the reporter asked was basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was basically, do you actually have a James Beard Award? Do you really speak Italian? Like, what did you win? What did you win your James Beard Award for? And it was stuff that was easily Googleable, right? Like easily searchable online. And I was enraged and I was about to respond. And Rand goes, don't. My husband goes, don't. He goes, he is trying to bait you. This is obviously an enraging question. He is trying to make you look like the unhinged, angry woman because that feeds into the story that he's trying to write. He goes, give him short answers, factual, everything over email so you have a paper trail. He goes, that's what you have to do right now. I was like, shit. And he was absolutely right. That is exactly what happened. So the article comes out for the New York Times. The article comes out. And it is all about how this glowing coverage of the chef, glowing. And it is about how he is basically this misunderstood genius who has been bullied by the big old mean blogger. Big old mean blogger. Like, what are we even talking about here? And then they use all of these quotes from the chef that basically make me out to be old and uninformed and rude. And then he talks about how if I had been in New York, I would have been punched. He says that I am, I can't remember the phrasing that he used. Pre-millennial, I believe is how the group was described.
What's that even mean?
Which is really fun. It means Gen X is what he means. Gen X is the term. That's what we call pre-millennials. And we exist. Hi, we exist. But several of the people, and so two of the people, I believe, so Rand is a year older than me, and my friend Lisa was there, and she's a couple years older than me. And everyone else was massively younger than me. So this is like such a stupid complaint. And he's like, they were all rude Americans. And I'm like, Rand and I were literally like the only people who like live in America. There was one other American who has lived in London for forever, and everyone else was European, like everyone else. So these it's just these ridiculous allegations. And the article rips me apart, like piece by piece. And it's every single thing that you would expect from how women are described, right? Like the irrationality, the exaggeration. They made me out to be opportunistic, like capitalizing on all of the interviews. And I was like, they contacted me. Like the newspapers contacted me. And how is Chef Floriano not opportunistic? Like he's the one who made an NFT. And so I ended up just being so enraged by that. But the other thing that emerged from this was that a few people reached out to me with allegations about abuse that they had faced in this restaurant. And I had contacted several news outlets, but I knew that concurrently with this going on, there was an article that someone was working on at the New York Times about the allegations of abuse. So every time I replied to this reporter, I replied, off the record, are you communicating with this other journalist? Are you aware that there is another article going on about allegations of abuse? Because it feels important to know that within the context of this. And he replied, I understand this can be frustrating, but we're just trying to be thorough. Something like that. And I was like, what? And it was just such gaslighting. Like, you're frustrated right now by all these questions. You poor thing. So the article comes out. Like I said, it's a puff piece. It's in the front section of the New York Times, and it is on there's a rotating homepage on the website. And so it's one of the rotating homepages of the New York Times. So I click on the New York Times, and there is the goddamn article on the cover of the New York Times homepage. And I'm like, holy Christ. And people are congratulating me. They're like, oh my God. And I'm like, did you read the article?
Read the article.
Like, read it. It's not good. And I would say a week or two later, one of the women who had been talking to the reporter, the other reporter who was working, she contacted me and she said, I just wanted to let you know they dropped the article because they said there wasn't enough international interest. So there wouldn't have been enough national interest for them to pursue the story. And I was thinking there was enough interest to write a puff piece about him, but there's not enough national interest to write an article about the abuse.
Mm-hmm. I had to pull the article up because it is.
Yeah.
And just like flipping through it, it's just like making him look like this like fancy cool chef doing fancy cool chefy things.
Such a victim. So one of the things they say is they're like, he has some tattoos that may be considered misogynistic to some. His tattoo says bros before hoes. It's like right on his chest. The reporter then emailed me. He was like, hey, the article's up. I don't know if you saw it. And I said, hold on. Do you want the exact?
Yes,
let me
I
find
do,
the
please.
exact
I would love to know.
Jason Horowitz. I write it in the book, but let me find it because he can.
It's
This
chef's kiss. Very
this
good.
guy.
God.
Let me find it. So okay, so I found it. So I replied, he goes, thanks again to both of you for your help the other day. It helped clear things up for me. Sometimes we have to report things out in order not to include them. Best, Jason. Not was in all caps for that. And I replied, and this was to me and Rand, I replied, Jason, I read the piece. I was amazed that in a story about the youngest Michelin-starred female chef and a female blogger and accusations of abuse from female staff, you managed to ask the most important question possible. How does the man feel? Anyway, congratulations. Congratulations on virtually ignoring all of the allegations of abuse leveled against Pellegrino and instead painting him as a misunderstood genius. Then again, I'm in the group of some people who find a tattoo that reads bros before hoes to be misogynistic. Oh, and for the record, I'm 41, so technically on the cusp of being a millennial. 2 members of our group were older than me. The rest were significantly younger. How that plays a role in enjoying a meal, I'm still unsure. Anyway, I'm off to take my geriatric tongue to breakfast. Geraldine DeRuiter. I did not hear from him again. I did get a reply from my husband, which was, I love you so much.
Just all of that. Just all of that. I'm sorry, I keep bringing up the infuriating parts, but it's just, it is.
Look, it's in the subtitle. Bring up the fury. Let's get mad.
Yeah. To paint that as like, this is going to be my like hot take, and I know I'm going against everybody else, and this is so rebellious to defend the man is like, Cool.
Right?
Great. Nice. Okay. This is real journalism, sure.
Never heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I do love that you ended the chapter talking with Jessie. Can you share more about who Jessie is? Because at least the chapter ended off very hopeful for me anyway. I was like, okay, this makes me feel better. Yeah. Like everything's terrible, but at least there's really good mozzarella and a really good chef in the world making said mozzarella. So
Yes. Yes. So Jessie Liu, she worked under Floriano. She contacted me and she was willing to speak on the record. So obviously I talked to her. I'm like, Jessie, can I talk to you about this? Are you willing to? And she's like, yep, I'm willing to talk to you on the record. I'm willing to speak to all of these things. And she was like, she said, her experience there, it was not good. And I don't want to get into detail or speak her story for her because I don't want to talk about her in the context of this is the crap she dealt with. That is part of it. That is part of, she is an Asian woman in the culinary industry and she is young and she is beautiful and she is brilliant and she is dealing with a lot of shit. But I don't want to highlight all of the shit people that she deals with so much as I want to highlight what she does. So for years she was at, I believe it's pronounced Based, or maybe Best. It might be pronounced Best. Jessie worked there. She is no longer there. And she made the mozzarella for the pizzas. And it's fun. The restaurant, it's one of the top rated pizza restaurants in all of Europe. And it's in Copenhagen. How did I record an audiobook if I don't know how to say things? And she's no longer there, but her Instagram she's Jessie Liu, so Jessie Liu, Liu 0601. Her Instagram has some of her cooking, some culinary videos. She's also just an advocate for immigrant rights in Europe. I mean, just like I look at what she is doing and she's just this incredible chef. She's so talented. She's from Taiwan. She has studied with Dominique Crenn. She's studied with some of the top chefs in the world. And yeah, her talent is extraordinary. She's so well respected. She's so well loved. So I would say follow her on Instagram, and if you find out wherever she's cooking next, go. Like wherever she is at a restaurant, go, because you will have one of the best meals of your life, without a doubt. But I think about how she was getting treated, like how she was in this hostile work environment. And like, these are the chefs who are not getting attention. These are the chefs who are not getting, stories in the New York Times. And that sucks. Mm-hmm. That's the tragedy here.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And there's so many of those stories. Many. But it does come back to like how I started this whole thing. It's just like they are such big systemic things that somehow we are expected to just like navigate as individuals, which is really hard and complicated.
or that we think is normal, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that I think Gordon Ramsay did a commercial, and the commercial was like him screaming, and it was a gag. It was like, ha ha ha, Gordon Ramsay's screaming again. And we're at the point where this man is about to be selling throat lozenges, right? Like he's about to be endorsing like honey and lemon tea. It's that level of absurdity. We need to back up and be like, no, he's actually wildly abusive, and he's so successful. And we think it's normal because we're like, oh, it's a chef, he's a celebrity, it's all for show. And it's like, no, he he behaves that way and behaved that way in professional kitchens. And he learned that from Marco Pierre White, who allegedly made Gordon Ramsay cry when Gordon Ramsay worked underneath him. So imagine what Marco Pierre White was like. And Marco Pierre White created what he described as a theater of cruelty in his kitchens because he felt that that was how to effectively run a kitchen. Mm-hmm. And these men are lauded as the creme de la creme of the culinary industry. These are the titans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other piece that like really hit me hard was the chapter about the Julie and Julia and me. Just all of it. The like public pressure to be something, say something, and be like put on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And I think that's something for me personally, that's something that I'm like, that's something that I'm trying to figure out right now as we're trying to like grow the podcast and figure out how we fit into this space. I don't know how to talk about all of these big systemic things as an individual and like have to like have a personal brand and put something out there and also just be a human in this world.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard. It is. Okay. Well, there's so many facets to this, right? There's Katie of Copper and Heat, which is you, right? Like that's not you, mm-hmm. But that's not all of you.
Right.
And people listen to the show and they think they know you. Mm-hmm. And that's great, right? Like that's great. You want that. You want that. You want people to feel close to you. You want people to feel like they know you. Mm-hmm. You want people to feel connected to the show. You want people to feel connected to your guests. I want people to listen to this and feel like they know me. Mm-hmm. That's great. I want people to read my books and feel like they know me. Mm-hmm. But then they feel like they are entitled. Not everyone, I should say. Mm-hmm. I don't want this to be a blanket statement. If you feel like you know me, that's rad. That doesn't mean you feel entitled to me. But some people start to feel like they are entitled to you. Mm-hmm. And that becomes this strange balance of like, I'm grateful you read my book, and I want to express gratitude for that. What do I owe you? Mm-hmm. Because you feel entitled to me now. So what do I owe you? Have I fulfilled my obligation? I've given you my book. And now you have a platform, right? Like social media, you have social media, you have a platform, and I am a visible person. So you could say, I met Geraldine and she was a, total asshole to me because I didn't behave in a certain way that you liked. So there's all these levels to it of figuring out and balancing and trying to figure out how open you want to be and how vulnerable you want to be and the difference between, the public Katie and the private Katie. Mm-hmm. And it is a balance that I have not fully understood.
How have you changed how you approach it since like 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
So, has my perspective changed? Yeah, I mean, I do wear a mustache and dark glasses when I go out now, and I think that's been really helpful. Gosh, I don't even know how to describe this. Has my personal relationship changed? I still try and be forthright, and I still try and share parts of myself online, and I am careful. I take photos of our house in a way that you can't see the surrounding neighborhood because I don't want people to know. And when people ask where, they're like, oh, you're in Seattle. What neighborhood do you live in? I am so vague. I'm like, over there somewhere in the city limits, which I think is vague enough, right? But like things will happen where we'll, I'll go to the local coffee shop and the girl will be like, so I hope this isn't weird, but I saw something you wrote online. And it's not weird. It's sweet, right? It's sweet and it comes from a good place and it's good natured. But you realize that you do not exist anonymously. And you're also like, I'm a hot mess right now. Like, which is funny for me to say because I presented myself voluntarily in my pajamas and unwashed hair to you. So, but it is this like, anybody could see you and know your name. And that's kind of weird. Anybody could see you and know your business, but you've also made, as a memoirist, I personally have also made my stories my business, right? Like I've made them something that I've monetized. And so at that point, I still do have a right to privacy, but that line of figuring out what I want to share and what I don't want to share it almost becomes a strange personal decision. And I feel like everything that I hold dear to my heart, I still get to hold dear to my heart. But for some reason, other people feel like they can fight with me more about it. So it becomes hard. It becomes hard. I'm not going to lie. And I'm also not going to stop what I do. I like being a memoirist. I like telling my stories. I think I'm a good storyteller, but
yeah. Well, and like what you said, like you are choosing to monetize this, and like same with us. We're like trying to figure out like, okay, we want to be authentic and do good work and all of that, but then we also have to figure out, okay, how are we going to make money off of this and like survive the hellscape that is the US and capitalism and like and I think, I don't know, I've talked about this with Ricardo, my partner, and I think Rachel and I have talked about this too. Maybe it was just my family, but like we were raised on this like do what you love and the money will come mentality. And
it's interesting because I was not fed that.
Interesting.
I was fed the find something that pays money that's stable.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy deviation. It was a very like to be a writer I was like, nope. And I wasn't, right? I started out as a copywriter. I worked in marketing. I worked for game companies, which was, even that was like, oh God, Geraldine, what are you doing? But I was like, this is a stable paycheck.
Yeah.
And I wrote that way. And so for me to have deviated and to be an author is bonkers.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I want to hear more about your end of this.
Well, I would love to hear what Rachel says too. Cause like, and that's what I'm like, I shouldn't say it in such a negative way because like, I actually do appreciate that from my parents to an extent, but it has been hard. Cause I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to school for anthropology and I'm going to just like do the things that I love. And eventually I'll be able to like make money at it. And like cooking in restaurants. Okay. And then like eventually finding my way into media and like I said, wanting to do something that is like authentically me and something that I like, but also trying to navigate like, okay, now how do I actually make money at that? And also how much of myself do I want to monetize? And do I have to monetize everything? And it's just like, it's hard to navigate and figure out. And I have no idea.
Yeah. Rachel, did you have that as well?
Yeah, I kind of grew up, I don't know, in like a weird middle ground. Me and my partner were just talking about this, how all of one side of my family, I was making the joke that I kind of feel like they come from a line of con artists. Like nobody ever is really trying to work, and everybody have a scam, right? And it's not a scam, right?
Yes. Okay. Go.
So there was always this sense of like, you have to do something practical, but also like, don't work too hard. Like, I don't know, there's just that weird middle ground. It's a lot of business owners and a lot of people who don't do well in traditional job structures. So I feel like I exist somewhere in a weird middle ground.
No. Oh my God. Are we related? First of all, are we related? Because my family's whole perspective is, how can I get paid by doing as little work as possible?
Right?
So
not a bad idea.
So like my cousin's like 53 and he's like, yeah, I'm retiring this year. I'm like,
Score.
What? He's like,
Respect.
yeah, I moved into the studio apartment above my garage because I rented out my house and that's his income. I'm like, what? Like, just like they're all like doing something to figure it out, like to not work right that much. I do think that, so Katie, going back to what you said, one of the most helpful things that ever happened to me, and this is totally worthless advice to us now, but one of the things that my college advisor said, because I was like, not sure. I was like so distressed about my life. I was like, I need a paycheck. I was basically like, look, I want to write. I said, but I don't understand. I'm not going to be a broadcast journalist. I'm not going to be the next, Barbara Walters. I'm not going to be the next Jane Pauley. I'm not, it's not going to happen for me. I know that. And I said, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, look, sometimes a job is just a job. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. A job doesn't have to be the thing you love. He said, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Find a way to do the thing that you love. Even if you don't get paid for it, find a way to do it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And I remember that. And now I'm at this weird thing where I do get paid to do what I love. I just don't get paid very much. Mm-hmm. 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 So...
yeah.
I think some days, though, it is helpful to remember that. It is helpful to remember it's just a job.
Yeah.
And when I get
100%.
really stressed out, I'm like, it's just a website. It's just a book. It's just a job.
Yeah, 100%. And that is something that just in the last few years, I'm like, I need to have a little bit more of that. So, like,
yes. You need to take time off.
Yeah.
You need to breathe. You need to have weekends.
Yes.
Absolutely. And like, we all exist outside of the work, kind of what we were talking about earlier, but we are people separate of the things that we make. And those things are amazing, but they're not all of the worth that we have.
Right. Absolutely. You have worth.
1000%.
That's, oh my God, Rachel, that's so important. You have worth beyond your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easier said than fully like enmeshed. I guess.
Yeah.
Internalizing that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of value and work, the imposter syndrome side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the time since we talked the first time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, how has that changed for you? Because reading your book, I was like, interesting.
Tell me what you thought.
I feel like it's changed, but like it's still there, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you. I was like, because like so then I started thinking like, well, how has it changed for me in the last bit of time? And I don't know that it has. And it started making me feel a certain way. I think it has a little bit.
You don't know that it has to have, right?
It has
maybe
to
not,
have.
Maybe not.
I think it has a little bit. It's different at this point. And I have to remind myself like, oh, I do know shit now.
Yeah.
But it's still there.
It's still there.
So how has it changed? Yeah, how has it changed for you?
How has it changed? I'm aware of it more. as opposed to feeling like I am inadequate, I realize this is how I'm always going to feel. So maybe it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm inadequate. If that makes sense. And something that a friend told me was, she said, early on in your writing career, early on, so this is, I'm past this, but I should have done it. Write down what you think success is, because otherwise you will lose perspective and you will keep moving the goalposts. And the joke that I told her is, oh yeah, no, my goalposts are on wheels. So I just keep pushing, like mine just keep pushing out. And my goal way back was I wanted to publish a book. I wanted a mention in the New York Times about my writing. And I wanted an article in the New Yorker. I wanted to write a piece in the New Yorker. And I've written for the New Yorker a few times with the caveat that it was for the shouts and murmurs, which again is me like diminishing my work. And like I've had the New York Times talk about my work, some in, that crappy way, but some also they've said nice things about my work. And I've written my second book now. And I've written for the Washington Post, and I had Stephen Colbert talking about my work, and La Corriere della Sera, which is the premium Italian newspaper, right? It's the most widely read, that's a hard word for me, and I used it a lot in my audiobook, so imagine how hard that was for me. Newspaper in all of Italy described me as David Foster Wallace's heir.
Ooh.
Which I don't think I agree with that, but I tell everybody they said that. So, and I look at all of that and I simultaneously think that I do not deserve it and that I want more. So figure that one out. It's like the imposter syndrome, and maybe this is true of all imposter syndrome, like it's still there, but also tied to this untenable ambition of like, I want more and I am not enough, and what is enough? And like, if I can be frank, because I think we should be, right? Like, I told my agent, like, and I blurted it out. Like, she was like, tell me what you want for this book. I'm like, I want 6 figures. She's like, okay, I'll make that happen. It went to auction. Both of the offers that came in were above what I had asked for. I was like, cool. So it's like, that goal was achieved, but I'm like, I want more. That's not enough. Right? Like, I want another James Beard Award. I want to write a New York Times bestseller. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm like, what? So like, what is enough? And then at the same time, I have this voice that's like, but I don't belong here and I'm not good enough. And I realize that the I'm not good enough is what's fueling the I need more. So they go hand in hand, what I've realized. This intense ambition and this feeling that we're not worthy are hand in hand. So that's what I've realized. And I've also just tried to sit back and appreciate it where I am and realize that the Geraldine of 5 years ago would be happy. And the Geraldine of 15 years ago would be, her mind would explode. Like, she would be like, you wrote 2 books? She would be like, she'd be like dancing. She would be so thrilled.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think that's what needs to happen every now and then.
Time.
Speaking of time, do you have any wrap up? Do you have any more? Do you want to keep talking?
I had one other one potentially.
Let's do it.
If you're cool
let's
with
do
that.
it.
I'm
I'm cool with that.
I like that you asked it of Jessie in the book, but unfairly, apparently, according to you. So
I
how
think
do we
so.
fix systemic misogyny in the food world?
By buying my book. No,
It's a great start.
how do we fix systemic misogyny in the food world? I think I think we need to shift away from what we have accepted as normal and good and acceptable behavior from chefs, right? Like, I think we need to look hard at who is successful and realize that they are the ones who have been allowed to succeed. And it is not that they are not good and deserving chefs, but that they are not the only ones who are. I think that we need to look at and support, chefs of color and women-owned restaurants and female chefs, and buy their cookbooks and support their work. And if you're like, I don't have any money, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Threads. Like, Twitter is dying, but retweet them. Like, look at female, this is not tooting my own horn because I'm a privileged white woman, but look at women of color who are writing about food and share their work. Paula Velez is, she's James Beard recognized. Cherry Bomb loves her. She's one of the founders of Bakers Against Racism. She's one of my favorite follows on Instagram. She just does cool stuff. Find the chefs you love. Do you know her?
I don't know
so
her
good.
personally, but I love her Instagram.
Oh, I do too. I love her. Find the chefs you love and tell people about them, right? Be loud and vocal. Tangerine Jones was the founder of Rage Baking, which was, she was exploring, expressing her anger through making food. And then she would just hand out baked goods to people, at work, on the bus, people she met. And it was just this beautiful expression. Find these women who are doing these things, find these women of color, find people from marginalized groups, find restaurants that are doing things differently. Tide House is doing, gender neutral serving. And I think they have a pay what you can night. And a lot of their staff is, LGBTQIA+. So find these restaurants that are friendly and kind and supportive to marginalized groups. Find voices like that and support them. And I think that is part of the way we start to change things. We change things by changing who is successful. We change things by who is allowed to be successful. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of it. And we change it subtly by calling out bad behavior. I can't remember what Ramsey's new endorsement is, but just be tell that company that's kind of crappy. He's kind of a jerk, Batali, for all his faults, at least had the good sense to disappear. At least he did that. I would say really seek out those voices and those people and laud them. And that's part of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I say as an outsider because I'm not within the industry, really, mm-hmm. right? I'm a commentator on the industry. Mm-hmm. And that's how I choose to do it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's, like you said, that is definitely a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. And we can do things as individuals, but also collective action is really good. Mm-hmm. Doing things together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, I hope it works. I don't know. Change is slow.
Yeah.
Change is so slow, and there's a ton of backlash to it. But yeah, I remain hopeful.
A huge thank you to Geraldine for chatting with us once again. We'll link to her new book, If You Can't Take the Heat, tales of food, feminism, and fury in the show notes.
There's a ton of links on my website, so that's probably the easiest. Go to Everywhereist, that's everywhereist.com, and you can find links to the book. You can find links to my first book, which apparently I don't know the name of, and you can find links to my second book, If You Can't Take the Heat, which is out March 12th.
Definitely give it a read. It's hilarious and thoughtful and incredibly beautiful. This episode was produced by Rachel Palmer and me, Katie Osuna. Music was by Ricardo Osuna. Thanks for listening.